one going.
Alrighty guys, so here we are again at Red Mountain Park, and we're going to talk about ecology. Alright, so what species is this? Why is this one green and this tree over here not yet in leaf? As we look around, we can see lots of trees in leaf, we can see lots of different types of vegetation patterns and things. The other things we might want to ask is, when does this organism reproduce? When does it flower? When do the leaves first come out? What types of organisms eat it? Does it provide any nutrients or benefits to the environment that it's living in? Where does it come from? These are all questions of ecology. And yes, some of you may recognize this. This is kudzu, the vine that ate the southeast. And it does come from Asia, it comes from China. Many of our introduced species that we're going to talk about do come from China. You might wonder, why do Chinese species or species of the Oriental region do so well here in North America, particularly Eastern North America? And that is a question of the science we call biogeography. Because if we go back in time, Asia and North America were all connected across Europe, and they shared a very similar flora and fauna, plants and animals, okay? And then when the Alps arose, somewhere about 40 million years ago, if I remember, I'm not exactly sure of that date, but when the Alps arose, it created a barrier, and then of course as the continents drifted apart, that also created a barrier. But the climate and the fauna and the flora of Oriental Asia, northern China, and northeastern, or I should say Eastern United States, do share lots of similarities. And we are going to talk a lot about ecology today and in other days. Alright, back to ecology lessons again. Well, we're going to talk about the different levels of ecology. Starting at the largest scale where we can study ecology is global ecology, looking at how does the incoming energy and nutrient cycling on a global scale work. So types of questions we might ask with this would be ocean currents, how do they affect global climate patterns? How does anthropogenic changes, anthropogenic means human-caused changes, how does that cause or lead to or exacerbate climate change? All right, so those are really big questions. And then we move down to what I call landscape ecology. Landscape ecology, we're talking about how does the flow of nutrients and energy and the transfer of organisms across different types of ecosystems occur. If you look around, we are in a temperate, deciduous, hardwood forest ecosystem. And as I said earlier, we are now on the north side of Red Mountain. This area was once an active mine. This is an old ruin. So with landscape ecology, or even ecosystem ecology, where we're talking about a very specific ecosystem, such as this temperate, deciduous hardwood forest, we're going to ask questions. How does it change over time? And as I said earlier, this area did not have any trees at all 75 years ago. It was completely barren. It was dirt. It was hard rock mining going on here. Okay, and there was towns and all sorts of stuff. So ecosystem ecology deals a lot with the flow of energy from sun through plants via the process of photosynthesis, from organisms eating those plants, and defecating and all that kind of stuff. How do those nutrients then flow through that ecosystem? And then we talk about community ecology. What's community ecology? Well, community ecology is the interaction between two or more species. So that might be an herbivore eating this kudzu, or an herbivore eating the grass here and then defecating that material out. It might be a predator such as a coyote that we find here preying on rabbits, or it could be humans hunting deer. There's a lot of good sized deer in this park. And that would be community ecology. And then we get down to population ecology. What's population? Well, population, remember, is a group of individuals of the same species and that can interact and breed. And population ecology looks at the factors that affects the number of individuals in that system. How much food do they have available? How many predators are there in the system? Are there enough mates? What is their birth rate? What's their death rate? That is population ecology. And then we get down to the sort of the smallest scale of ecology, which we call organismal ecology, where we are looking at a specific individual organism. What affects it? What is its life cycle? How does it, at what age does it reproduce? How many young does it reproduce? And so on and so on. So those are the different scales of ecology. Hey guys, again, ecology. What is it? What is it? What are we going to talk about? Well, one of the big things that determines where species are is sunlight, the amount of sun they get. How warm is it? How cold does it get? And how long is the day? How long is the night? All of these things which are dependent upon latitude and longitude and things of that nature. And the amount of solar radiation, because that's where all the energy is coming from. The energy on this planet comes from the sun for 99.99% of organisms. So the sun is really important, and we're going to talk about that some more when I get home. Okay. All right, so the distribution of organisms, whether plants or animals, such as some of the birds you may hear in the background, okay, are a result of two abiotic factors. Abiotic, as you know from your prefixes, means non-living. So what are the two big abiotic factors that determine the distribution of species? Sun, okay, light, and of course, water. Those two factors determine, are you a desert ecosystem? Are you a temperate deciduous forest ecosystem such as we see right here? Are you a tropical forest ecosystem? Are you an Arctic tundra? Are you anything else in between, like a savanna or a short grass prairie or a long grass prairie and such a thing as that? So again, those, the abiotic factors, sunlight and water, and of course that determines the biotic factors, the trees and the plants and things of that nature. That's pretty neat to me.
This is a Whittaker biome model showing the distribution of biomes around the world according to two abiotic factors, temperature as a result of sun and precipitation. And do pay attention to the axes because they can switch up depending upon which model you are looking at. You can see that the tropical forest ecosystem is in the top right and the Arctic tundra is in the bottom left in this particular model. In this particular version of the Whittaker biome model, I want you to notice that the average temperature on the x-axis has been reversed. Instead of going from low to high, it's going from high to low. The information is the same, it's just reversed. And extremely important to pay attention to what the axes are. I want you to find where our biome is, the temperate deciduous forest, and figure out what is our range of temperatures.